The first time I ran myself into the ground, I was at my work. I was on a job site. I was on an audit engagement team, and it was some sort of a decision made by me and my boss on site, that at lunch I would just go home and rest, because I remember it now, it's like my ears were ringing and I had no focus. I felt like I was getting sick even though I wasn't sick, and there was just no use in having me on site. So I went home, and instead of sitting down or laying down or going to bed or something, I picked up my computer and I finished a lot of work I had outside of my job, which was probably a dumb idea, but that was the mentality I was at that time, hence the breaking down of the body. And shortly after that I started thinking about, okay, there's something I need to change here, there's something I need to mend. And meditation is something that came into my mind. So when I was sitting there at home alone, I just closed my eyes. I started thinking, okay, I have to just clear my mind and sit here with an empty mind. Clearing my mind. Beep, 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 beep. Okay, that didn't work. Let's do it again. Clearing my mind. Beep, 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 beep. And with the carnival song, I mean that everything just went berserk in my head. I had no control over my mind. So at that moment I decided, okay, meditation isn't for me. I can't clear my mind. And then just like 2 or 3 years ago, I listened to this interview with a guy. He was this news anchor in America, and he had a panic attack on live TV. He was just sitting telling the news, and it was not like some great news, something breaking, something sad, nothing like that. He just had this panic attack on air. He just felt his walls coming in. He had shortness of breath. He couldn't focus, couldn't think. And he actually he shares video of this himself, and you actually barely notice. You just see him freeze up a little bit, and then he just sends it over to another coworker. But he was talking about how his world was crashing during that moment. And like me and a lot of other people, he started to think, okay, I need to change something in my life. So he started studying meditation. And he figured out that it's not about clearing your mind. Because sitting there, clearing your mind with an empty mind, it's just actually not a possibility for most people. And that's not what meditation is about. So I listened to him, I listened to others talk about it, and I bought this book which I read, and then I started trying it out myself. And it definitely isn't about sitting there with an empty mind. That is the biggest misconception about meditation. So if the word meditation is maybe throwing you off there, think about it just as this little practice. Just think about it as some kind of a mind exercise or something. It's not about sitting there with an empty mind. Some people maybe throughout human history managed to do that, but that's probably some monks or something that just do that every day, all day. But since you don't sit there with an empty mind, what is the purpose? Also, a few years ago, I was listening to this strength trainer, Steve Maxwell, and he was talking about how he watches his heart rate to see how his body is functioning. And at that time, I was waking up really early in the morning to get in my exercises, to get in my strength training, because I had a family and company to run. So the only time I had was either really early in the morning or late in the evening, and it's not good to do it late in the evening because then it's harder for you to fall asleep. So I was waking up really early, and then sometimes I was going to bed late, so I was sleeping way less than I should. And I found out that my resting heart rate, it varies from people to people and shape of people and everything like that. But mine was pretty high. Just even though I got pretty good sleep, my resting heart rate was probably around 85. A pro athlete with everything in order is probably somewhere around 40, even below 40, but that's an extreme on the other end. But 85 is pretty high for a resting heart rate. And some mornings when I woke up and tested my heart rate, I was at a triple digit. I sometimes surpassed 100. Those mornings I just went back to bed. The strength trainer, strength coach, he said you should pick your intensity level after how your resting heart rate is. So if your resting heart rate was low when you woke up, you could do intense workout. But if it was on the higher side, you should just go out for a walk or something, do stretches or mobility work. But when I saw triple digits, I just went back to bed and thought, okay, now I'm running myself into the ground. But anyways, what I felt, the only thing I changed for a bit was adding this meditation. And that lowered my resting heart rate. That was the only change I made. So I do link that to that my lowered resting heart rate is because of the meditation. The other benefit I get from it is way more focus. Like I get way more productive at work. It's easier for me to focus on one thing. The other things that are attacking my mind, it's easier for me to throw them away from me. So that is the benefit, for me at least. But you have to keep in mind that you can't do this once and then say, oh, it's not for me. Another 10-day challenge. You have to do this 10 days in a row. First few times you are just settling in, figuring out how it is to do it. I'm not going to go through it here, how to do it. In the app, I have a video that explains that very well. So pick up the app, listen to the meditation part, and then run it once. On the next day, run it again, and then you slowly start figuring out how to do it. If you start feeling more angry, more anxious, annoyed for the first few days you're doing this, it's going to sound weird, but that means it's working. You've built up a lot of stress and now it's exiting your body, it's going from your body, and that's going to take its toll. So if you're feeling worse for the first few days, it means it's working, so keep going. That's really important, to keep going. From there on out, it will get better and you will get better. And also one point I need to mention, I didn't mention in the app because I hadn't heard about that one at that point, but I heard an interview with a neuroscientist just recently, and he talked about how few people that go into meditating get adverse effect or negative effect, but that's because when they are meditating and the thoughts come and go, they only bring up bad thoughts. They're only thinking negative things. They're only going through negative stuff in their heads, and that means that they are dragging their mental state down every time they meditate. So that's the thing to keep in mind. If you only go to bad places, negative places when you meditate, you have some other issues you have to work out first, or you have to try to manipulate your meditation even more. So that's another important thing. So go into the app, watch the video there, and try it out for 10 days straight. And then decide if it's for you or not. Okay?